All right. I'm gonna give everybody a few minutes just to get logged in, and then we will begin. But I want to say welcome to everybody. Thank you for joining us today. We are so excited about this great webinar that we have planned for you on Marketing 101 for young lawyers. But technically, I think that somebody is going to grab some great information out of this webinar. Doesn't matter if you're a young lawyer, a more seasoned lawyer, we're all going to learn a lot today. And then later on in the webinar, you're going to meet our amazing partners at OnPoint, Fox-AE, and HMR. We are so grateful for the work that they do because they've helped support Connectionology as well as you guys so we can keep doing these webinars for you. And of course, I know everybody knows who I am by now, but my name's Ginger, Executive Director for Connectionology Seminars in America. As you guys know, I work for John Romano. We've got 3 amazing seminars planning this year. Our TBI seminar in Nashville, which is coming up in May. We just added Oahu in Hawaii, which is going to be in June. Those details are coming out soon. And then we're also going to do Fort Worth, Texas. So very excited about all 3 of those seminars. You'll be seeing some email blasts about those in the near future. But for today, let's go ahead and get started because we have a lot to cover. And don't forget that if you have any questions, please try to keep those in the Q&A box. However, Eric will be kind of keeping an eye on the chat box as well. But we encourage you guys to ask your questions. And then, of course, at the end of the webinar, we're going to do our special coffee giveaway from HMR. So let's get started. First, I want to introduce our amazing moderator. I am so excited that we have Eric Romano back with us today because, as you guys know, he finished his presidency with the Florida Justice Association last year, which kept him very busy. He's still very busy now with all of his trials and his cases and his work. But Eric, we are so honored to have you with us. For those of you guys who don't know, he is actually a board certified trial attorney with the Romano Law Group in West Palm Beach, Florida. And I wanted to let you guys know that he also received his BS degree in business management from the Florida State University in 1993, which is actually where he played football for Coach Bobby Bowden. And he earned his JD degree from the Stetson University College of Law in 1997. So he began his career actually as a prosecutor at the Palm Beach County State Attorney's Office. And then as an assistant state attorney, he prosecuted a wide variety of criminal cases in the misdemeanor, juvenile, domestic violence, as well as felony trial divisions. And then that's when he left the state attorney's office to join Romano, Erickson, and Cronin, which was back in 2001, which was later renamed to the Romano Law Group in 2007. So Eric is incredible. He's gone to verdict in more than 125 different civil and criminal trials. And as you know, he just finished his presidency with the FJA. He's also a past president of the Southern Trial Lawyers Association and the Melvin Belli Society, which is another amazing program dear to my heart. He's a member of a variety of organizations like AAJ, the Palm Beach County Justice Association, and much more. But right now he's been concentrating his practice in the areas of personal injury, wrongful death, criminal defense, as well as commercial litigation. And you'll also hear him frequently speaking all around the country in the areas of both criminal and civil trial practice. So Eric, it is such an honor to have you with us. I know you've gotten awards and accolades also across the country, but we are so glad that you're taking the time to be with us today. And I can't wait to hear what Jessica is going to teach us. So thank you both.
Ginger, thank you very much for that very kind introduction, and good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining us for a very, very important topic. It's very timely, and I know for all of us in a very competitive field, we can never get enough marketing. And as I learned very early on in my career, always be marketing. In other words, you're always on, you're always marketing yourself, always marketing your firm. And we are fortunate to have with us today Jessica Latour, who is an attorney actually here with our firm, Romano Law Group. And let me tell you a little bit about Jessica. First of all, she is filled with creative ideas when it comes to marketing, but she brings that same creativity and passion and energy to her work. Before joining the firm here, she got her undergrad degree at Florida Atlantic University here in Florida, and then went on to get her law degree at Barry. And in law school, did an internship with the state attorney's office where she got her kind of cut her teeth in the courtroom trying criminal cases. She then moved down here to South Florida, joined the state attorney's office here in West Palm Beach, where she prosecuted DUI cases, other traffic criminal cases, domestic battery cases, juvenile cases, and as part of her law school program had also done juvenile defense work. So she got that great start in the courtroom doing criminal work, then went into private practice, was doing insurance defense work, and has taken the skills and experience from that practice and brought it over to the plaintiff side, representing individuals and families in catastrophic injury and wrongful death cases. So in her roughly 10 years in practice now, she's focusing more recently on premises liability cases, product liability cases, medical malpractice, and other catastrophic injury cases. So we are very, very fortunate to have Jessica joining us today, and she is going to share with us some tips, ideas, and strategies to better market ourselves. So Jessica, welcome and thank you.
Thank you, Eric, and welcome everyone. And thank you for being here today. So this is going to be more of a kind of an introduction to marketing for young lawyers, seasoned lawyers, just lawyers in general. And down the road, we'll do another one more. We'll focus on innovative and new marketing techniques that lawyers are using in the industry. So for today, it's kind of a basic 101 for marketing for lawyers. However, I'm going to give you my stories, my experience. And as Eric said, that I have been doing legal work for almost 10 years now, but going back even further. So when I was 16, my first job was at a bowling center, and I was a party hostess. And that is when I got my first taste for marketing, because my boss there said, we need someone to take over the birthday parties and kind of be like a head hostess, coordinate, the scheduling, order products for the parties, put together a program. So I volunteered, they gave me that position, and I actually grew the entire birthday party. It was almost a department. I had a staff of about 12 people, and we brought in different programs, such as we brought in like a clown. I could say I was the first clown there at the bowling center. But then I hired a clown because I didn't want to do that anymore. We brought in different ways to get the kids involved and just have more fun. We implemented dancing to the songs throughout, so all the hostesses would get on the floor and dance. Then I reorganized the whole program and actually staggered time so that we could fit more birthday parties in. And I literally grew the business of birthday parties at this bowling center. So then what they did was they brought me in as a marketing assistant once they saw what I could do there. So I did that for a little while. I actually worked my way up and I was the assistant manager there. So I was at, and some of you may know the John Carter chain, which has a new name now, but they were all throughout Florida, some in Texas. I think there's even some in Louisiana. But that's where I worked. And then I worked there for about 5 years. So I was graduating college, getting out of there. And then I actually went to college for marketing, and I worked for a couple different businesses. I worked for an orthodontist doing their marketing. I did some sales in the mortgage business, but then I went back to the bowling center, and I was there in Port St. Lucie here in Florida. There's a family entertainment center called Superplay, and I was their marketing, sales and marketing manager. And there I was responsible for creating programs, almost like an advanced version of the party, the party coordinator. So I created programs. I went to different businesses. I did sales pitches. I called customers. I brought people in. I did presentations. I was their marketing person. And then after that, that was in Port St. Lucie. So I moved back down to West Palm Beach, and I did sales for a credit card processing company. Same thing. I put together pitches, calling people, talking to people, building relationships. We had what we called warm leads because we were part of associations. So I did that until I finally went to law school. So I went to law school a little bit later, in my late 20s, and that was always my dream. So while I have a good amount of marketing experience. I have about 10 years in marketing. I also have about 10 years in law. And I feel that marketing is so important as a lawyer because that's how you bring in your business. You have to market yourself. And I think as a young lawyer, and I may be branching outside the young lawyer range, but at least I can say I've been through marketing myself as a young lawyer. And I can tell you the things that I did, the things I implemented, the strategies, what I learned. So I am going to start my PowerPoint presentation. Make sure I do this right. Okay. So one thing that is so important to remember is that marketing is a learned skill. Not everybody knows how to market coming out and fresh into the business. So a lot of people leave law school and they're really focused on getting in the courtroom. They're really focused on litigating cases and they don't even think about the marketing aspect. And then when they go to their first networking event, they're kind of, what do I do? Oh, they find a friend in the corner and they go talk to the friend in the corner, but that friend in the corner may or may not be there for the same reasons. A lot of times you go to networking events or any kind of event and you just talk to the people you already know, the people you already have a relationship for. So you really have to, put a plan for marketing into play. And it only works with consistency and practice. It's kind of like a diet. You know what to do, you learn what to do, but if you don't implement those things, you're never going to yield results. If you're on a diet, if you don't eat well, if you don't limit your intake, if you don't exercise, you're never going to lose weight. Well, it's the same thing with marketing. If you don't practice it, if you don't use the techniques, the skills, what you know or have learned that works, you're never going to bring in business for yourself. So networking, these are a couple of things. I love quotes. And that last one I tried to make into a quote, but my colleague was like, that's stupid. It's going to sound weird if you quote yourself. So I just made it a slide. However, I did put quotes throughout this presentation and I thought I feel they're perfect for this type of presentation. So the first one is networking is not collecting contacts. Networking is about planting relationships. And I think everyone knows that in order to have referrals from people that trust you, you have to build that relationship first. But how do you meet these people to build the relationship? And it truly is through networking. And networking, there's different ways to network. There's different events to network at. So they can be lawyer and non-lawyer events. So such as bar association events. They could be seminars that you go to, conferences. Non-lawyer events could be literally anything. It could be a charity event that you go to and you sit at a table full of people that you don't know, or a luncheon, and doesn't have to be a legal luncheon. It could be for a different organization outside of the law. Doctors are, especially for those who do car accidents, motor vehicle accidents, doctors are huge referrals. And a lot of people don't have relationships with doctors, so you have to build them. So we have a paralegal in our firm. She knows everybody because she's done pre-suit paralegal forever. And she actually puts me in contact with doctors. We have lunch with them. We go to networking events with them, and I follow up with them. I send them emails. I make sure I bonded with that doctor, and I have a client that comes in needing to go see a doctor in their field, that I make sure I send them to that doctor. And then I continue that relationship with the doctor. If they're on my way home, I'll stop in sometimes. I have one that's right. I pass his office every single day and I stop in every now and again. It's just to keep those referrals, because people sometimes when they get in an accident, they go straight to the chiropractor. I've had several of them where they go straight to the chiropractor and the chiropractor refers them to me. So that's a huge thing. And doctors aren't always easy to get in contact with, but if they're a doctor that works regularly with PI attorneys, then they're usually pretty receptive to meeting you, to going out to lunch, just building that relationship with you. And I have an Instagram. I have doctors that follow me on Instagram that I've met through my practice. So I've built a relationship with them as well. Other lawyers, and I put other young lawyers, but other lawyers, obviously, those are going to be your key contacts for referrals. And then other areas of laws or attorneys out of state, because attorneys out of state, they need to refer to Florida. They don't practice in Florida, they need an attorney. You want them to think of you and they say, hey, I've got this case in Florida, who do I send it to? You want to be on their mind. So you've got to keep fresh in their mind. We'll go over some, different ways to keep fresh in their mind later, but that's the main thing, is to keep contact, keep communication, build that relationship. Same thing with in Florida or in your state, people that don't practice PI. Many of the attorneys that refer me cases, they don't do personal injury. So they see you, they know you, they've worked with you, they're going to keep sending you those cases that they get where they have a client that comes to them and it's not in their field. So they're like, oh, I know a PI attorney, and they send them to you. You really can network anywhere you go. You go out to dinner. Sometimes I get waitresses that they love to talk, and they'll ask me, what do you do? Or they'll see something. If I have my kids, they'll ask me something about my kids. It just gets into a conversation. I carry a stack of business cards. There's, and I'll mention this again later, there are many, many new developments and new techniques that you can exchange contact information, but to this day, the business card, I think, is still paper business card in your hand. They can put it in their pocket. They don't have to worry about it right then and there. They pull it out later and they have that there. But networking wherever you go is super important. It always should be on your mind. If you're in church at a funeral or something like that, you don't want that on your mind. But if the situation is appropriate, you really do want to present yourself. Always take every situation as a potential business opportunity to get your name as an attorney out there. So just pause that really quick. So this is a funny networking clip. It's old. I don't know how many people know the show, The Kids in the Hall. It was on when I was very young, but it's a comedy show. This is a clip. I still think it's relevant today. It's just funny. So I just wanted to play that for everyone. It's about networking.
God, what a thing of beauty. Great handshake. Gerald, Mr. Tolson, how are you?
Pretty good. Listen, I'm sorry I'm late. Traffic.
All right. Yeah, traffic. Try that on me, huh?
You're right. That excuse you gave me works great.
Yeah, doesn't it, though? Doesn't it? Huh? So why were you late, anyway?
Traffic.
Wow, life imitates excuses. Incredible.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, look out here, Gerald. There's a sea of businessmen. The ripples and eddies you catch with your eye, those are the important guys. The name of the game is networking. Businessmen meeting other businessmen for the purpose of meeting again at a later date. Do you understand?
Networking.
Yeah. Now, but you gotta be cool. See that guy? He's trying way too hard.
Thanks.
Yeah. All right, so don't blow it.
I won't.
Just be cool. All
Right
right.
on.
Okay, here we go. Tony!
Gerald,
How are you, man?
pretty good. Good to see you.
Good to see you, sir.
Yeah. Okay.
Look, this is the guy I was telling you about. Well, I would have told you about if I had been able to get you on the phone.
Oh, yeah? I was on the other line. Good to see you. What's your name?
Nick.
Nick. What do you do, Nick?
Well, I'm just starting out.
Super. That's a great way to break in.
Yeah, well, I hope to break in and get hot.
That's a great idea.
Isn't it?
Hope to see you on a mailing list someday.
Great. See you then.
Okay. Listen, I'm gonna stand a few feet away.
Sure, Tony. Sure.
Wow.
What'd I tell you?
Wow.
Yeah?
Bet he can do something for me someday.
Hey, well, he knows you. Can that hurt?
No way. Now we're networking.
Yeah, right. You're right. Holy cow. That is a merger. That's a merger. Oh, there's another guy I know. Hey, Kutska, come over here. Kutska, come here. Come on. Hey, this is the guy I was telling you about. Come here. Kutska, come here. Don't let me standing here. Come here. Put that down. Come here. Okay, maybe later. Real important guy, very busy. Player, definitely a player.
Do you think he can do something for me someday?
Well, he saw you. Can that hurt?
No,
No,
it can't.
No, it can't. Yeah.
Hey, There's a lot of buzz that you're hot, even though you're just starting out.
Yes, I believe that I am hot.
Well, you're going to be needing one of these then.
It's a business card, take it.
So, Jerry, do you like professional sports?
Ha! By God, I do! Yes, indeed! Why, I cheer for all the local teams.
Really? They're not as good as they used to be, I hear.
No, nothing's as good as it used to be.
Except money.
Money!
Gerald! I'm the hot guy.
All right. So I thought it was funny. It's kind of a spoof. It's a little bit dated, but I think it's still is relevant. But I just wanted to play that because that kind of, a lot of people, that's how you feel when you're networking. So we'll talk a little bit later about my take on what to do when you're at a networking event. And so I have 8 steps to networking. So these are the things that I kind of have in the back of my head when I go into a networking event. And so the first thing is start with people you know. That's the easy one. Unless you walk into a room where you absolutely know where you know no one, you can't do that. But if you walk in and you see someone, it's always good to kind of get comfortable, see your surroundings, talk with someone while you kind of see who else is there. They may know someone that they can introduce you to, but it's definitely good to start out with someone you know, but don't spend too long with them because you have goals for networking too. Number 2, be open to meeting new people. I think that's a given. And it could be either you meet someone standing in line for an appetizer or a drink, or you meet someone through the person that you already know there, or you just see someone standing there alone and you walk up to them and you say hi. You have to be open to meeting new people because that's really the point of networking. Seek out opportunities, introduce yourself. First impressions are key. Seek out opportunities. So that is, you're going to hit and miss. So you may come up to someone and say hi to them, but they're really not there for networking, and or maybe they're not very conversational. And you talk to them, you tell them your name, hey, what do you do? If the conversation doesn't progress, you kind of just say, all right, see you later, move on. But at least when you first come in, if you see maybe a group of people that like-minded, look like maybe someone that you would get along with, jump into that situation, introduce yourself, and just remember, first impressions are key. That's what will guide the rest of the conversation. If they like you, it should keep going, and you'll know that pretty well, pretty early on into the conversation. And then once you finally get engaged with someone, then you ask questions. And again, nothing I tell you here today is going to be groundbreaking. And it, like I said, you know these tips. It's just whether or not you go and implement them. So everyone says, focus on the other person, ask them questions, don't talk about yourself. People love to talk about themselves. So if you're going there to seek out referral contacts or people that you're going to build a relationship with, eventually you're hoping to, then ask them questions. You want to keep the conversation going. You want to have it a back and forth. But let them talk, let them tell you about yourself, because you may get little tidbits and little nuggets that you can use later down the road. And that's why number 5 says, find a way to help or assist them. And that's important because you may start talking about a case and they tell you, I'm struggling with this, or I need to find a person who can help me with that. And you may be able to help them, or you may be able to connect them with somebody else that can help them. And that's building on the relationship, especially if you could say, hey, I know someone, let me introduce you to another person. There's just adding another person to your referral network that trusts you, and especially if that person you give them does them a favor or is able to help them and has a good result, they're going to look to you for your referrals too. And that goes on building your relationship with that other person as well. After you have had a conversation, hopefully your goal is to meet more than one person at these events. And so you exchange contact info. Again, I always say carry business cards. It's easy, just drop in your pocket, drop in your purse, and you can deal with it later. but there is new technology. I know Eric, we were talking earlier and he showed me a business card he got where it had a QR code on the back. And assuming that the QR code works, because I know we're still, even though we're in the age of technology, we're still trying to figure out technology a lot of the times. But my assumption is you scan the QR code and the information goes into your phone under a contact card. You already have all that information in your phone. I still like to keep the business cards because I can jot down a note on the back if I need to remember something specific about that person later, or I can find all my cards. If I have a bunch of chiropractors in West Palm Beach, I can look through them all in one setting versus flipping through my phone and trying to remember who all the chiropractors are that I know in West Palm Beach. So find a way to exchange information. And once you have that, find a way to exit and move on gracefully, or exit gracefully. It was nice to meet you. Or if they see someone they know, maybe you pull that person into the conversation as well, and you learn about that person. But it's always good to have goals, and I have a slide on that later. Goals for making introductions, how many people you want to. You may go in and say, I'm going to meet 5 people today. I always go in with that number 5. I don't know why I chose 5, but I go in with 5. I want to come home with 5 new business cards. Sometimes I only get 3, sometimes I get 1, sometimes I get none. Just depends on the situation, but I always have a goal of 5. And that way I have homework afterwards. I can follow up with them. I can stay connected. If we really hit it off or we had something in common, maybe I'll invite them to lunch. Say, hey, let's go to lunch. Let's just become friends. You meet a lot of friends that way too. You may just be a business contact, but they may become a very good friend. And I'm sure all of us have friends that we've met at a networking event or met in some kind of legal setting. So the most important thing is once you get those contacts, you follow up with them in one way or another, whether it's an email, a text, you call them, you invite them out, keep connected with them, because people aren't going to refer you cases if they don't know you. You may get lucky every now and again because they just don't know anybody else. But as soon as they meet another person, if they become friends with that person, that's who they're going to send the business to. And building relationships. So relationship building is probably the most important thing in business. And that's why I love this quote that says, business is all about relationships. How well you build them determines how well they build your business. Because it's absolutely true. So this goes hand in hand with networking, building relationships. It's kind of a step 2, but it should be the goal of step 1, which is networking, step 2, building the relationship. So you meet people with similar interests. That's, not very hard if you go to an event with all attorneys. We typically have similar interests anyways, but you can usually go further and find more interests outside of law. You become friends. And the reason I have Marjorie in parentheses is because Marjorie, she is our mass torts attorney at our firm. And we go back to 2016. She and I were both in junior league together. I did not know her. I'd never met her before, but we had a kind of a meet and greet with our group within junior league. And of course I hear she's an attorney. And I'm like, oh, she's an attorney. I have to go meet her. And I met her and we chatted. We actually didn't spend a whole lot of time talking, but I got her phone number. And interestingly enough, that was a Saturday. Monday morning, when I walked into the courtroom, she was sitting on the edge of the bench in the same courtroom. But because I had met her in junior league, I sat down with her, I talked to her, and we ended up becoming friends. She is one of my very best friends. And now I say she's here at Romano Law Group. So we never really did anything legally together because she was in a completely different area of law than I was. At the time, I was doing civil litigation defense, med mal defense, and she was in, I believe, foreclosure defense. So she worked there for a couple of years, and we really just went to lunch together. She came to a couple of events at my home. But then one day I was the only associate in my firm. So I said, hey, we need another attorney. I have one in mind. I contacted Marjorie. I called her. I said, are you interested? And I brought her into the firm that I was at. So we worked there for another 3 years until I left and went to Romano Law Group and met John. And John's like, I need a mass torts attorney. And I said, I know the perfect person. And I pulled Marjorie into this firm. So we've been not only really good friends, but we've been working together for so long, and we help each other and we go to events together. And she's like she's literally a good friend outside of work, but I have to do everything with her at work because we work so well together. We help network with each other. We help refer people, find interest. We work very well together. So if you have a work good friend, that helps in networking too. But you don't want to stand there the whole time talking to that friend. You help them bring in people. You introduce them to people. They introduce you to other people. You use them as not only as a friend, but you use them to help you build other relationships too. And she does that for me. Another thing is building trust. That I think goes without saying, absolutely true. In order for you to build your book of business, to get people to refer you clients, you have to build trust with them. So whether it's they take a chance and they give you a case, you take that case, you work it the best you can. You over deliver, you keep contact, you work that like it is $1 million case, even if it's not. No matter what, you build that trust with the referral attorney, and they will remember that forever. Not only will they remember it, the client will remember it, and that's just another referral source. So everything is on building relationships. Every person, you want to be careful to burn bridges, and some people aren't meant, like any relationship. If you're not, there's going to be people that you don't get along with. There's going to be people that don't work to help further your goals. So you just you go in different directions. But those that truly do align with your goals and your values and can help you and you can help them, those are the people that you've got to cherish. And the next one says work together. Not only work together at the same firm, but work together on cases. If you're a personal injury attorney and you meet another personal injury attorney and you ask them about their cases and you hear, hey, I've got this really tough case, I'm not sure what to do, offer to come on and work with them, and vice versa. If they can benefit you or your case, bring them on, because you guys have a good friendship, a good relationship. You guys will work well together, and that just furthers your relationship, your trust, and they'll bring you more cases to work with them on, and you'll have them to bring on cases as well. And I will communicate. I kind of just been talking about that. Communication in any relationship is the number one key thing to have. Always communicate with them, let them know what's going on, keep in touch with them, keep connected with them, just really active listening. Even if you just go to lunch and you some people just want to talk about, things that are going on in their office, things that are going on in their personal life. If you just listen to them, that will just build that bond and relationship you have with them even more. And then have fun together. It doesn't always have to be work. Go to a football game with each other. If you have kids, take your kids to the trampoline park. You bond that way. And it's not just always about work, but it's about having that friendship, that relationship, because that will be around forever. And it's important to have. So who are your referral sources? And Ginger, I don't know if you want to bring in the sponsor now before I move on. Okay.
Yeah, that would be wonderful. I was just about to break through, but I was like, wow, this is such good information. So I was enjoying it. But yeah, I'm so excited. I want to bring in Kim first. She actually works with OnPoint Legal Nurse Consulting, a company that we love working with. You've probably seen a lot of the nurses that work with them do the webinars that we've been doing as well. But Kim's going to jump on here and tell you guys a little bit more about what they specialize in. And then, as you know, John Romano raves about the pain and suffering reports from this company. I know, Kim, you remember John speaking so highly of the work that you guys do. He just said, I think yesterday, he's going to work with you guys forever. So anyway, thank you for being here. We've missed you, and it's so good to see you today. Tell us a little bit more about the things that you guys do there at OnPoint.
Sure. It's so nice to be back and be here today. And this is great information. I just love it, particularly the business cards. I just learned about the QR codes on the business cards. So I'm with you, though. I still use the old-fashioned kind. But to tell you a little bit about OnPoint, We're a legal nurse consulting and full litigation support firm. We've been helping attorneys for close to 30 years now on any cases involving illness and injury. There are 5 key areas that I'll highlight today that we can help you with. We all know how difficult it is to find the information in the records that you need. And we have a team of nurses who will organize the records for you, bookmark them, and return them to you OCR'd. For our consulting program, our nurses have a lot of experience helping attorneys. Maybe you're bogged down in a complex case. Maybe your paralegals could use some help. Our nurses help to make the complex information simple. And they do that with timelines and chronologies that include our unique case analysis, which outlines strengths and weaknesses, as well as identifies missing records, systems failures, red flags, and possible defense strategies. We can also identify the impact of any pre-existing conditions and can differentiate between new versus aggravated injuries. Our nursing home and long-term care program assists with anything long-term care, geriatric related, from merit screens, simple thumbs up, thumbs down merit screens, to specialized experts who are familiar with those standards of care. Our program director, Ingrid, who's on here occasionally, she's a clinical geriatric specialist, and she has over 30 years in that industry herself. Our expert witness program provides fresh, well-rounded experts who are all clinically active and located nationwide, and there's no risk or cost to you for us to search for the right expert. For damages, we excel at quantifying damages with our life care plans, both physician and nurse life care planning, and our medical cost projections, which are a lower cost option for less complex cases. For non-economic damages, our pain and suffering analysis that we talked about, it really helps to tell the client's story. We learned how important that is. And we can quantify what the client experiences: loss of freedom, loss of mobility, loss of independence. We pull that information out of the records for you to expand upon. So if this still feels familiar to you, even though records are electronic, our goals are to make sure you're not blindsided, to simplify the medicine and avoid surprises. We're accessible, easy to work with. You can email me directly, or you can contact us also through our website on the Contact Us tab. Thanks, Ginger.
You're so welcome, Kim. And I swear, I think that's me behind that stack of papers. But anyway, thank you so much for all the stuff that you guys do. Don't forget to add your contact information to the chat box, because I want everybody to make sure that you save her information, especially if you want to talk to Kim, ask her any questions, whether it's now or later on. She's a really great resource. So keep up the great work, Kim. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
And then I'll see you in Nashville. I know you're coming. I see Cody came in. Cody's going to be in Nashville with us at our TBI seminar. And as you guys know, we are locking in Dr. Bennett Omalu, you guys, which is going to be an amazing speaker. And I don't know if I want to jinx this, but I'm trying to bring in Chase Rice as our big country music singer for the party that we're doing. If he can't make it, I will have somebody equivalent. But we are just going to have the best conference. I don't know how I could beat last year, but I'm going to try. So I hope that everybody here will consider coming. And even if you don't, practice TBI, it's going to be such a good conference to be at. You're going to be able to network with a lot of good speakers. So think about it. But thank you, Kim.
Thanks.
And Cody, I see you're here with us. I can't wait for you to wow us today, because you always do with your great illustrations and videos and graphics. I'm going to see you next week here in Orlando for the John Romano Workhorse Seminar. I appreciate all the work that you guys are doing all across the country, helping not only your clients and the cases that they're working on, but just being so accessible to everybody at their time of need. So tell us a little bit more about what you do.
Yeah, thanks, Ginger. What I do now, Ginger and Jessica, is I network all the time. And if there's any advice, there's one thing that I wanted to add to that, Jessica. It's work a case with the Romano Group. And it's the best thing you can do for networking, and it's fun. It becomes fun. But ever since I started working with the Romano Group, we get very warm welcomes. Like, Jessica, I just saw you at NTLS, and it was just a warm, hey, you see your friends. It's like you're seeing your friends. And it's a great thing where it's business, fun, friendship. And so I love working with the Romano Group. But yeah, I'll show you just some quick stuff with our some of our demonstratives that we do. We've got kind of a new brain product line. It's fun. I sped up this video, so it goes a little bit slower, but we can do volumetric modeling, things like that, just to show hemorrhaging, the vascular system of the brain, volumetric still shots, things like that, to really give a 3D perspective of, brain injuries. Here's some surface abnormalities, and we can just get in there and show all different types of, brain damage, necrosis, things like that. If I can just rewind here, we can get really deep into this and just communicate with your experts. Also, we do posters and stuff like that, as you can see. Colorized imaging, there's a normal brain. That looks abnormal. I wouldn't want that in my brain. So if the person looks really natural at trial or is good looking at trial, and you can really show what's happening inside their brain. And a lot of times jurors get the wrong idea because they just see a normal person, right? So interoccupancy movement, that's coup contra coup. That's quite painful. And we can show the gelatinous movement in the brain. So fun stuff like that. And, here's another still shot just for fun. But yeah, so we have a lot of fun. And yeah, thanks for the presentation, Jessica. I need it because I am going to conferences, and so I'm taking notes here.
I know I almost didn't want to call this Marketing 101 for young lawyers, because it's literally like a refresher for everybody. We're learning such new things as well. And there's always so much, coming out. So I cannot thank Jessica enough for doing this for us today, and Eric being with us, and Cody, thank you for the support. We really appreciate it, and we look forward to seeing you very soon. Drop your information in the chat box, because I definitely want everyone to save it as well. Your images are so realistic. I tell you, definitely, and I'm sure your prices are competitive, but you get what you pay for. When you're doing these cases where you can really get in and show, pinpoint literally the area. I'm blown away. So anyway,
We have a
talk
lot
to
of
you
fun.
soon.
Thank
You
you.
sure do. Love working with you guys. All right, Jessica, back to you.
All right, let me get my PowerPoint back up.
Perfect.
All right. Okay, so going back to referral sources. So we talked a lot about networking, but like you say, everything kind of builds on everything in marketing. So who are your potential referral sources? Family and friends, clients that you work with now and in the past, people that you've worked with in the past and now, people that you know through recreation groups, other groups that you're involved in, people you've met through your children's school, other areas of law we talked about a little bit, other states, through volunteer bar associations, through other associations. The sources are endless. You can literally meet referral sources anywhere. That's why I give the example of the waitress at the restaurant, or you're standing in line even to vote and you're just sitting there talking to people as you're waiting. There's so many different sources that you can use to build referrals. Even if it's just, here's my business card. If you ever know anyone who needs an attorney, usually someone but that's it. It's just that sources are endless. So I put this flag, family and close friends. So it should be a given that they're going to call you and refer, say they're at work and their coworker just got in a car accident. You think, oh, my uncle knows I'm a lawyer. He's going to send them to me if they ask. Well, I have found that family and close friends, they need reminders. Because I had a friend I've known her my entire life, and she just completely forgot I was an attorney. And I was talking to her, she's like, yeah, I got in this car accident. I was like, oh, you did? I'm like, are you okay? And then I asked her, I was like, do you have an attorney? And she's like, I do. I got this attorney that my friend knows. And I was just like, you know, I'm an attorney, don't you? And she's like, I completely forgot. And that's not the first time I've had that. So I have taken I've been more proactive with that, kind of reminding family and close friends. I post on I have a personal Facebook, a personal Instagram, and make sure they see my achievements, my accomplishments, work-related activities. I want them to remember, and I want them to reach out to me. If I am, if they come into contact with someone, or they're in an accident themselves, or something happens, I want to be their referral. I want to be the person they send that person to, or they call. Even if it's not personal injury, even if it's a divorce, they know someone who needs a divorce attorney. I think I've done a pretty good job at letting people know I'm an attorney, because now I get friends and family saying, hey, do you know a good attorney that does divorces? Or do you know someone who can help with my friend with child support? Or do you know someone who can help with a will? I just had someone come to me the other day and say, do you know a probate attorney? And I saw him at a lunch just now, and he told me that she called him. So your family and friends, even though it should be a given, you got to remind them, make sure that they know you're an attorney, they know what kind of cases. And another example is my own stepsister. Her husband, and I don't talk to her as often as I should, but she knows now, because her husband had an accident. It was a product defect that harmed him. And she still thought I did medical malpractice defense, even though I've been doing personal injury for almost 2 years on the plaintiff's side now. And when I asked her, she's like, I just didn't realize you did plaintiff's work. So it's very important just to kind of update your family and friends too, when you have a change in the type of job or the type of the law you practice. So that's super important, because my own stepsister didn't even know that I was doing personal injury now. Clients. So the quote I have on here, I put that because I felt it goes with clients. I really like it. It says, I don't hunt for my clients. I build relationships with ones swimming towards me. Not necessarily clients that are swimming towards, but potential referral sources that are swimming towards you. And clients are one of them. So I think everyone's in agreement. One of the best referrals you can get is from a client, because that's telling you that they believe you did a great job for them. So good that they want to refer other people to you. So it's not only it's a good referral, but it's a compliment. So it's always important, treat every case like it's worth a lot of money. You may get a case where it's only, in Florida, sometimes they don't have BI and there's really no coverage to help them with. But I've had more cases that don't have coverage, that one, they go and get some because they didn't have but they actually have referred people to me because I've explained the process to them. I kind of gave them advice, if you don't have if you had that would have covered you. Or some that I've had clients that when I have now, they're just so happy I was just able to tell them that. So even if it's a low value case, if you treat them like their case is worth a lot, then that resonates with them. They feel that rubs off on them. That's the type of client that's going to go and refer all of their friends to you, because you took such good care of them, even though you couldn't resolve a case for them. And then obviously, if it's worth a lot of money, well, that's not the only reason, but you are going to work that case really hard, and that will show that client too, kind of your ability, they'll trust with them, and they'll refer you as well. I always ask them for referrals, especially if we ended the case and they're like, thank you so much. I say, hey, if you ever have anyone give them my phone number. Feel free to give them my phone number. I'd be happy to help your friends, your family, anybody that you know. If anything happens to you again, please give me a call. And I've had a couple that I had one, I helped him with a motor vehicle accident. Right after I resolved his case, he called me about his father that was in an accident. So I don't know if it was because I did such a great job or because I asked him for that referral, but I like to think that they kind of go together. And that's just building on that relationship that you have with those clients. And I always, Google reviews, I am a believer in them. I think I Google review everything. If I need to use a service, a restaurant, anything, I always look at the reviews on Google. And I think that a lot of clients will as well, or they do. And every time I have a successful case, or sometimes even if it's not successful, if I have a good relationship with them, I will ask them to leave me a Google review, and I will ask them to put my name in it. So if you go on Google and you look up Romano Law Group, you're going to see several. For me, you're going to see my name in there, because not only does that show people looking at reviews that it shows them that you have worked cases, that you have these good reviews. You know, it not only helps your firm, but it helps you as an individual attorney as well. And then obviously doing great work brings referrals in other ways too. And an example is I was referred a case. So I was working on a case with John, and that it was referred to John, and I've worked very close with that referral attorney. And he ended up calling me and saying, hey, I have another case. It's not my case, but the attorney just withdrew. Will you take it? And I said, you know, I took a look at it and I said, you know what, sure, I will. You know, I didn't know why the attorney withdrew, tried to get in contact with that attorney, but I was unable to. So I ended up just going for it. I resolved it for a very good resolution, and that prior attorney didn't have a lien, but he called me and he was like, hey, I saw you resolve the case. Can you just kind of tell me what happened? Like, how'd you do it? I told him, and he was just, his actual response was, wow, great job. He's like, I was really nervous about that case. I wasn't sure. There were some other factors, but he's just like, great job. Well, just about a month after I resolved that case, that attorney called me and asked me to take his own case. The attorney that had withdrawn, who I had answered the call, I told him what I did. He called me and he gave me his own case. So I was very flattered, but obviously I'm going to work really hard on his case too. But that's a referral that I would have never expected. But because you're proud of what you do, you work very hard, referrals will come in just different ways that you won't even expect. So I think everyone works hard, but it just goes to show what working hard on a case can bring in a referral to you. So another referral source, people you work with now and in the past. These are also people that need a reminder of what you do, that you are an attorney, especially people you worked with in the past. So I keep in touch with a lot of people. I've had, like I say, I did marketing at a couple different places. I went to law school. I went to undergrad. I grew up, I was born and raised and grew up in Palm Beach County. So I know a lot of people in this area too. And I run into people all the time that I worked with in the past. So I make sure to say, hey, what are you doing now? I make sure to tell them what I'm doing. I'm very connected with them on social media. So again, they see what I do, because those people I've had, I can't even count the number of people, and they're not always good communications. And I can't always help them, or, sometimes they're just looking for free advice. So you have to be careful about that too, and give that sparingly, because the more free advice you give, the more they're going to ask for. But I keep in touch. I try and keep in touch with everyone. If someone writes me, even if they're just like, hey, that's a great resolution that you got, they don't even know the facts. They're not attorneys. They're just people I know. But if it's a post that I put on social media and they make a comment, other people see that comment, or they'll be like, oh, I know you could do it because you're a great person, or you always were a good worker, just things like that I have on those comments. So even when I posted this on my, this webinar on my social media, I had one of my old bosses, he's like, oh, I knew you were marketing, I forget what he said, but something to the effect like, I knew you were a great marketer. So, and he was the manager I had at the bowling center where I was the marketing manager. So it's just different, they could be good advocates for you, but not only referral sources, but good advocates. And they know you. They may know you, your former you, and then after law school, we all change when we become attorneys, and then you have the attorney you, or you have the outside of law you, but they know you, and you keep them in touch. You keep in touch with them. You keep them informed at what kind of law you practice, and they will bring you referrals. People you know through recreation. So volunteer organizations, sports groups, clubs, anything that aligns with your practice. And your niche, that's something that your niche, that's something that we probably should have addressed earlier, because that is important. Sometimes you get an attorney, personal injury, I do everything. So as Eric said, I try and focus on products liability, medical malpractice. I do a lot of premises. We all do auto. But really, when I came in here, I sat down with John and I said, I want to build a special area of law that only I do, not necessarily only I do, but maybe nobody else in the firm does, and that I can get really involved, and I can build on that, and I can become the kind of go-to person for that area of law. Because of my medical malpractice defense, I tend to do a lot of, or all of the medical malpractice cases, but I also had a huge interest in products liability. So I've taken on cases. I have a lot of airbag defects. I have, different automobile defect cases. I probably have 4 or 5 product liabilities, and they're huge and they're great and they're fun. So I've tried to get involved in organizations such as the Attorney Information Exchange Group, which is products liability. But because of my defense background, I haven't been able to get into that one yet. So if anyone has any connections, please let me know. But just different product liability. I'm on the AAJ listserv for the products liability. I try to get involved in that. And you'll meet people, and that kind of goes back to if you meet someone in California who has a case in Florida, if they know you do products liability in Florida, they're going to send you that case because you met them through AAJ or you met them through National Trial Lawyer. So it's good to have a specific area that you focus on, that you know a lot about, that you can teach about, that you can co-counsel cases with. But going back to people you know through recreation. So I am on the board of my high school. There's the Alumni Foundation, and then they have a scholarship fund that they're related. One goes with the other. So I'm on the board of both of them. And we just had our 100-year centennial celebration. So I'm actually the president of Alumni Foundation right now. So I was kind of spearheading that project. That we had the event back in September, and it was a great event. But one thing the reason I point that out is everybody there, we've met through Zoom for the last 3 years instead of in person, always on my Zoom, and always, even if it's not a legal thing, it says Romano Law Group, Jessica Latour, ESQ of Romano Law Group, or something to that effect, so that they know I'm an attorney and they know where I work, because it flashes. So anyways, so the high school I went to, the mayor, everybody on our board knows John Romano because he grew up in Lake Worth as well. And that's where my school was. So they all know him. So they're all, they introduced me. They're like, she's an attorney with John Romano. And these are people who aren't attorneys. They don't know, they may know attorneys, but they don't know me. So I'm getting introduced as an attorney, which I think is great. But not only that, when I emceed the event. So the first thing I say is, my name is Jessica Latour, and I'm an attorney at Romano Law Group. I let them all know that I'm an attorney. And I think that's important in these organizations that you do. I've had referrals from different people on the board because I'm the only attorney they know, or I'm the only attorney they know that they speak to on a regular basis. So those are great referral sources. Sports groups, clubs, anything, any kind of group that if you're, just say you do animal law, or, I don't know, if you do animal law, you go through and you're part of a veterinarian organization, just things that align with your specialty. It's good to get outside of law and get into these different kind of organizations if they'll let you in, attend their events, meet people in the area that you want to work in. I know as far as personal injury, I know it's a little more difficult, but there are things out there. You just got to be creative. You got to research. You got to see what you can get involved in. People you met through your children's school. I think that's important because I have an example. So, there's different parent groups. You have the parents of your children's friends. Even if it's just someone you sat with at an event that you just started a conversation with, those are all good because that person, you'll likely see that person again. There's a lot of different groups and ways to get involved in my kids' school. You volunteer and so many different things. You meet people I meet a new person every time I do anything at that school. And my son, he's got a couple of friends that their moms, we've made like a little moms group, and we've gone to the water park. We've gone to birthday parties. I've gone to get my nails done with some of the moms. And actually an example of that is they know I'm an attorney. We never talk about our job ever, but they know I'm an attorney. And that's the one important thing I made sure they all knew is what kind of law I practice. That way, if they ever had the situation, they could call me. Well, I had a call a couple weeks ago from one of my friends, and she said, "Hey, you're a personal injury attorney, correct?" And I said, "I am." And she goes, "Well, my daughter's friend at work just got in an accident. Will you talk to her?" So I did. I talked to her, and that was a situation where, again, there was no insurance coverage, so it was hard for me to help her, but I went above and beyond. I did whatever I could because it was a hit and run and she didn't have any protection. So I tried to see if there was any avenue we could go to find who hit her. It was on a highway. There's no cameras. I ordered 911 calls, hoping maybe someone reported an erratic driver or saw the accident. There were 2 calls. One of them was from the client. One of them was from someone after the accident. So that unfortunately was a situation where I couldn't help her, but I now have 3 points of contact now for referral sources. So I have my friend, who's my son's friend's mom. So I have my friend, I have her daughter now knows I'm an attorney, and her daughter's friend now knows I'm an attorney. So I get 3 referral sources out of 1. So it's always important just to keep in mind those are people that you can get referrals from. And then I talked a little bit about this before, other areas of law, other states. A lot of your referrals probably will come from other states and other areas of law. But those people are just as important. If you meet someone, you take them to lunch, you become friends with them, you meet up at seminars, you recognize their achievements. Just today, and I didn't do this so I could talk about it on the seminar, but it's just, or on this webinar, but it's just something I did, is I'm Ginger's back. Is there another break for a sponsor?
There sure is, but I was going to wait for you to finish your thought though. So let me know when there's a good time.
All right, I'll finish this one and then you can introduce them. So just today, I went to a meeting because I'm the co-chair of the Lawyers for Literacy Committee for the Palm Beach Bar Association. And there is a judicial reception tonight for the Association for Women Lawyers, and they're giving out different awards. And one of them is the Diversity in the Workplace Award, who the recipient, the firm that's receiving that award, the managing partner is on the committee with me. So I made it a point to congratulate her, and everybody else, I stayed in front of everyone so everyone else, could congratulate her. And even though it wasn't so that she could give me referral sources, but I know she will never forget that I did that. And again, that wasn't the reason I did it, because I've known her for a long time now. But it's always good to congratulate and recognize achievements. And if it's someone you have a relationship with, even if it's just through law, they have a baby, to send them, you know, a little something recognizing they had a baby, or if they get married, because they will remember you for those things. Those are always important. And if they give you a referral, if you work a case with them, always say thank you in whatever way you feel is appropriate, but always say thank you, because these types, especially different areas of law, and people have said they need you to refer to. So keep and foster those relationships. All right, over to you, Ginger.
I'm glad you said that too, because I've met some of my best friends through this community that we have. Just being involved in all sorts of different organizations, getting out there. And I'm not gonna lie, I get nervous sometimes. I remember like back in the day, I was like, oh, I don't want to go to this happy hour or something. But then I'd go and I ended up being the best experience. And I got to meet so many great people. So it's always a matter of just pushing yourself, you know, to get out there. Now, obviously, I don't have a problem. I can go anywhere. But anyway, I remember how that felt. So thanks for mentioning that. And now we've got Laura with us with HMR, and she's going to share with you guys some of the great things that they do over there. It's another company we love. There's not one person that I can't think of. I mean, there's so many good people over there at HMR, and they're always quick to respond and help out when it comes to a case. I've heard so many stories from my attorneys saying that they needed help with like a traumatic brain injury case, or they needed some type of funding. And you guys, Laura, are so quick to help. And then you're also very good about if it's something that you can't do, that you will help direct that attorney in the right direction so they can get help for their clients. So thank you for all that you guys do over there. It's incredible, the stories that I've heard. If you could share with us a little bit more about what you specialize in, that would be great.
Who knows a little bit about us is invaluable. And I think you should share your quote, or definitely own your quote, Jessica. I think it's perfect. So maybe you'll see that on my email signature at some point if you allow me. But for those of you who may not know HMR Servicing, we are a nationwide funding company. We specialize in medical funding. We also offer pre-settlement funding direct to claimants. And then for the attorney, we offer you with case cost funding. So we really have three wonderful programs that we have grown up over the years. Now, I personally have been with HMR for almost 6 years. And during that time, I've had quite a few catastrophic cases that I'm still funding, quite honestly. Cases that have gone on for 3 and 4 years, where we may have started out just with a simple request. Hey, we need some help with an image, or we need an orthopedic consult. We provide those consults. We fund those cases very carefully. We never know where the case is going to go, but we work each case the same way, which is to underwrite it, to work with you, to figure out exactly what we're going to do. And then we fund the care plan to the best of our ability and to the best point given the policy limits, if you will. We're very conscientious that we're not over investing in your cases, and that we're all coming together to look at each step of the care plan, if you will. Those cases that I've had that have gone on 3 and 4 years, we've provided medical funding. In some instances, we've helped plaintiffs to keep their house or to keep their car, to help their families out, because these are folks who are usually not able to work. So there is, that pre-settlement funding can be very valuable when it's combined with medical funding as well. And then, as you're resolving your case, I have attorneys who are now coming to me to say, you've done everything that you can on the medical side. You've helped the plaintiff. Now we need help resolving the case. And we are looking at funding those life care plans, those visual aids that are so valuable. The reports about future loss and future care. So we really try to partner with you, the personal injury attorney. We take care of your plaintiffs. We're trying to grow as a company to be exactly what you need at every step of your case, really. And that's my favorite part about HMR, is that we have a team that is devoted to doing everything possible and really working your case in a way alongside with you where you get the best possible outcome for your plaintiff. And so it's really great to be here today just to say hi. If anyone has any questions about your case, we're always just happy to have that conversation and see what it is that we can do. Thanks, Ginger.
Thank you, Laura. And again, thank you for all that you guys do. Thank you especially for coming with us to Nashville, because I know you guys are going to be with us as well. We're going to have a great time. But don't forget to add your information to the chat box so that way everybody can stay in touch with you. And then I know you're coming back in just a little bit to announce the coffee winner. So I can't wait to see who it's going to be. But keep up the great work, and thank you. I mean, day in, day out for everything that you guys do over there.
Thank you. Absolutely.
We'll see you back here in just a little bit. And Jessica, I'm going to hand it back over to you so we can finish up where we left off. But this has been amazing information. So thank you for sharing it with us today.
All right. So there was a question, and I want to just address that really quick. It says, I'm assuming it's supposed to be, how do you organize your day to get your legal work done, take care of your family, be on all these different boards, plus lunches and etc. And it's really a matter of just organizing your time and really sticking to a strict schedule and not letting interruptions get in your way. But so I actually wrote a blog, and I'm going to kind of go a little bit faster to get through everything else in this presentation. But if you go on the Romano website, there's a blog, and it's titled 5 Must-Have Habits as a Working Mom. And I'm just going to post this. Here's the link. So if anyone wants to take a look at this, I put the link in the chat box because it truly is. And I just read a book, and now I can't remember the name of the book, but I will find that because it's such a great book, and it's not a long book, and it's called wasn't prepared for this question, but it talks about structuring your day, and it's called The Perfect Day Formula by Craig Ballantyne. And he talks about how you have to separate time, like in the morning you work, and then email is a time sucker of everybody. And I've actually now I do email breaks. Instead of having my email open all day, I do email breaks. And I found I've been so much more productive when I'm not having emails pop up and interrupting me all day long. As far as organizations that I'm in, I've chosen them carefully, and I only attend ones. Sometimes I don't attend the meetings if it's not, it doesn't work with my schedule. Flexibility is, I have some flexibility. My firm is amazing. As long, they work with me as a mom. I have 2 little ones who are in school, and I'm able to go to events. Sometimes I have to work at night, or I have to get really early and work, but as long as I get things done, that's what's important. But yeah, it's lunches. Again, I only accept them or do them on days when I have openings. And if sometimes I have to move them around if something comes up. So it's really just being organized, structured. Structured is super important. So hopefully that answers your question, but check out my blog because that blog post, I think that will give some insight as well. I'm going to open back up my screen. That's not it. Okay. All right, so kind of moving away from the referral sources. So I wrote differentiate yourself, but it's really make yourself stand out. And yeah, you've got to put effort into this. This is where it goes to, what to do, you have the skills, you've got to, you've got to use them, you've got to learn from them, you've got to adjust them, what works for you. So a couple of things I talked about, my specialty is product liability. However, I do a lot of med-mal defense. And like I said, we all do auto, we all do premises, but med-mal and product liability are my 2 areas that I constantly stay up to date with. I'm trying to get more involved with. So 5 find something that you can do that, and you can be that go-to person. Join groups, a good one. And when I say join groups, I mean outside of law groups. So a good one here is the Women's Chamber of Commerce. I went to a speed networking where even though you get the elevator, your elevator spiel to say it, everyone does it. I met so many people that I gave my business card to everyone, and they called me and said, hey, I want to take you to lunch. And that, even though I only got 30 seconds to talk to them, I just planted that seed, or that seed was planted, and now it's up to me to grow it. I go to lunch with them, I keep in contact with them, I see what I can do for them, what they can do for me. But you get that out of groups that are sometimes not law related, because the chamber event that I went to, maybe 2 or 3 attorneys, they were all in different areas. Be active on committees. I wrote the Lawyers for Literacy. So one thing that I did is I volunteered for an event, and it was reading to kids and their parents. And one thing I thought of is like, hey, there's going to be a lot of parents there, and there's going to be a lot of kids there. So what can we do to kind of stand out? So I actually had our marketing person, she put these together, and they're popping. So I'm sure everyone's seen these before. Little kids just play with them and pop them. And I'll tell you what, I've got one of these. The reason I said we need to get poppets, and it has Romano Law Group on it, is because my kid got one, and he plays with it all the time and just randomly throw it on the floor, and I've got to pick it up. And I look at it, and the one that he has this weird emblem on it, but there's no words. And every time I look at it, I look at it and I'm like, what is this? So I'm like, if we make it easier, where I put Romano Law Group on it, every time that parent goes to pick up that kid, pop it off the ground, they're going to see it, Romano Law Group, Romano Law Group. So that's why I thought this was a really good idea. And everyone, of course, the kids loved them. So they took it all home, and there were about 10 kids, not too many, but we have them now for other events that, we sponsor or we participate in, and I bring them with me. So that's one way to differentiate yourself, but being active on these committees opens the door to those kind of opportunities. Give or moderate speeches, webinars. We have Connectionology. If anyone has a great topic that they want to do a webinar on, call me. I will do it with you. I will help you. But getting yourself out there, teaching people, telling them what you know, meeting you, even though sometimes with the webinars, you don't really get that interaction with people, but it helps you get your feet wet for bigger things. Again, writing blog posts. That mom, actually not the mom one, but I wrote a different one on defective baby products. And in one of my mom's groups on Facebook, someone had a question about a defective product. So I was like, hey, check out this really great blog post. I don't know if she realized it's mine, but I posted it, and I had a bunch of comments on it. So people were reading that. It's just, you got to find ways to kind of stand out and use your, not necessarily, hey, that you're talking about a case, just other ways to get people interested in you. Again, sponsored community events. One thing I do, and that's why I put this Romano Law Group, and it has my name on it, because I personally, and this is just me, my son's school, they had it's their centennial also. So they had what they called swag bags, and it's just a tie bag that you put around your shoulders, but they had sponsors on it. And those are bags that they use all year long. And I sponsored it personally, like my money, so I put my name on it. And, the firm has their things, but as an individual attorney, I want to do things on my own too. And I am a huge advocate of my firm, and I love the Romano Law Group, which is why I make sure their logo is on everything as well, because that is part of who I am. But I put my name on it too, because that is what, my sponsor that I did. And I did it again for a carnival down the street from my house. They needed sponsors. So, and it's not other small sponsorships, but they put your name on everything. So I want them to say, I want Jessica Latour of the Romano Law Group to be my attorney. That's the kind of things you do to differentiate yourself, to stand out, to bring in referrals. A couple other things, win law awards. Some are worth more than others. Some are more important than others, but within your organizations, I didn't get it, but I did ask people to nominate me for an award in our local Women's Law Association, and they did, and I was a nominee. And even though I didn't get it, but it's the fact that people are willing to nominate you, and that kind of gets the word out. Because there was a huge discussion about Jessica Latour, and there were several others, and they went with one, a woman. She had way more experience than me and did a lot more for women lawyers than I did, and she definitely deserves it. But you don't know how many people. There are years when people don't nominate a whole bunch of people, and you may win that award. And it's not because you don't deserve it or because you're the only person. They're not going to give it to someone unless they feel you deserve it. But that way you can use that and say, look, you can use it to promote yourself. I won this award, and asking others to nominate you is, the best way to win them. And then again, highlight your awards that you do win. Let people know you have them. You don't have to brag about them. You find a tactful way to do it. Avo, I don't know how many people have a profile on there. I do. Well, I think I do, but it hasn't been updated in several years. But recently, I have talked to so many people that say they get referrals, they get clients, they get all kinds of stuff off of Avo, either the paid or the free one. So I'm going to look into it because like I said, I've had a lot of people tell me they've gotten success. I've never used it, but that's something I'm going to implement. Social media. Huge right now. Newsletters, podcasts. Even if you don't have a podcast, you probably know someone who has one. Get on their podcast. Ask them if they can feature you. They're probably looking for people anyways, and you can talk and give your information there and talk about your practice, talk about you as a person. Mentoring is huge also. Even if you don't formally join like a mentoring group, mentor people. I try to do that. If I will volunteer myself. If they don't take it, they don't take it. But some people will be like, okay, great. And they ask me questions and I teach them and I help them. And that's a great way to build trust and get those people to bring referrals to you. And then I spoke about business cards. I put my business card on here because it has my email, it has my office information, and it has my cell phone. I know some people don't like to give out cell phone numbers, but I do because I find that I like to call people on their cell phone because I don't like to have to go through a receptionist and ringing voicemail and get a call back. So if someone gives me their cell phone, I call their cell phone, and I am perfectly okay with people calling mine. And I think clients appreciate it. And I'm very upfront with them. Like if I don't answer you right away, I will answer you. So that, because sometimes, with texting, they want it to be instant. You have to be upfront and give expectations. But I think it's important. I think it makes a huge difference if they can contact you easily. So social media, and I know we're kind of getting close to time, but one thing I want to say is social media. So again, social media is one of those things where if you have these, you know what to do, you just got to do them. So this is my social media. I have one for my personal Instagram and one for my professional. So if you have Instagram, and I'm just using Instagram as an example, if you have one, you can do a professional account. And I suggest that because the really cool thing about the professional account is that you can read like analytics. So if you go into your Instagram in your professional, I don't know if you guys probably can't see this, but if you hit that professional dashboard that you see, it tells you, it gives you numbers. It tells you how many people viewed your post. It tells you how many accounts were reached, how many accounts were engaged, how many followers you got, how many followers you lost. You click on a post and it tells you about how many of the people viewed your, for instance, this one, it says, let's go to one that actually got a lot of views. It'll tell you how many people viewed it, how many people were followers, how many people were non-followers. And the way you get non-followers, I put on here, it says use hashtags. So on every post I do a series of hashtags, and you got to use them, for your target audience. So if you're trying to advertise yourself to other personal injury attorneys, you're going to do hashtags that they follow. And could be personal injury lawyer, could be personal injury attorney. There's several different things, and I'll actually tell you like of your friends what they follow so you can see popular ones too. But it's always good, and that's how you get people to follow you, and that way when you do posts they see them. Or if you do the hashtags, they don't even have to follow you, but they'll see you. But then it tells you how many people go to your profile from the post. It'll tell you how many people went from the post to your profile and looked at your profile, and then hopefully they follow you. But there you can show off your settlements and verdicts, and I do that. Show off your client testimonials, I do that. The way to get followers I've found is to record reels, and I'm not that great at them. Have a few, but ones that I do, I've gotten like 5,000 or 6,000 people that view them. And I think it's important because again, you put hashtags in them. So people following those hashtags see your reels. And so this is just I'll send everybody this PowerPoint, by the way, but this is just some things that I suggest, and I've done them, not consistently. And again, you have to be consistent to build your, business. But when I do sit down to do it, so I went from like 50 people to like 200 people in a couple of days, really. I need to do it again so I can build more people. But if you consistently follow new hashtags, and I make a goal, 5 per week. If you like posts of people that follow those hashtags that aren't necessarily followers, people see that you follow them or that you like their posts, and then they get curious, say, who is this? They go to your profile and they may follow you. Comment on posts. I think that's a big one. You comment on people's posts that don't follow you, they will likely follow you. Post daily, post, it could be anything. And I found that like if I look at realtors, they're very they're similar to us. Their posts are similar. You can kind of get ideas from them. You can go to other attorneys or you can go to realtors. I'm sure there are other sources you can go to. The reels do get the followers though. And my next slide, you'll see I posted a couple of social media people that I think do a really good job with their social media. But share your posts, share other people's posts. So if you see someone post something and you want to just do like a congratulations to them, you can share their post. Not only do you promote them, you support them, but it's also some more viewing for people to see your account. And then if you meet people and you follow them, they'll probably follow you back. So if you meet someone at a networking event, you look them up on Instagram, you follow them, they'll probably follow you back. And that's another way to keep the connection. But right here on this screen, there's a QR code. And now Instagram gives you a QR code. So if you have Instagram, you can just open your camera, put it on the QR, touch your phone, and my profile will pop up. That's another way if you want to give people your, not only your phone number, your email, you can give them your QR code for your Instagram now too, which I think is pretty cool. So it should work. So hopefully everyone follows me and I will follow you back. And I'm going to work on building my Instagram, so you'll see more from me. And these are the examples I gave. These are 3 attorneys that I follow, and you may know some of them. They're Paige Sparks. She is a employment law attorney in Missouri. She's a little bit controversial. She doesn't just do legal, she does a lot of different posts. Shannon Schott, she does mostly legal, but she has a lifestyle blog too, so she posts things about fashion and everything. And then Andrew Pickett, I don't know who does his marketing, but he does post every single day, and I watch every single one of them, and he does a good job. So you see 269,000, 13,700, 10,100. These people, they spend a lot of time on Instagram, so you have to have the time too, but maybe you don't need that many followers, but to have a good following is a good thing so that you can promote yourself that way. All right, a couple of slides left if you bear with me. So this one I think is super important. Ask your elders. And when I say elders, I don't mean old people. I mean people who have more experience than you. And obviously I have a picture of John Romano because he is the person that I go to for everything. I ask him what he did to market himself when he was younger. what he does today to market himself. I kind of know that, but you know, I have conversations with him. He introduces me to people. I ask him, you know, if I have a question or a problem or an issue that I need to talk to, he tells me who to contact. You know, I ask him what he thinks I should do to benefit myself in certain situations, or where, you know, resources I need to be involved with. And then, like John is, you know, if they're your managing partner, then you go to them and you say, hey, you've known me for so long. What do you perceive to be my strengths or my weaknesses? What can I work on? What, you know, they give such great advice. And there are so many attorneys that have 30, 40 years experience. Use them, ask them, you know, just because, you know, they were young lawyers in the 70s and, you know, it's different times now. Everything is transferable. What worked in the 70s still works today. So use them, ask them, let them help you. Hopefully the partner that you work for, or if you are a partner, that you are encouraging young lawyers, or you're asking the partners for their help, because, you know, that's how we grow in this business. And that's how we keep this business alive, is by growing and doing, you know, helping each other, you know, build ourselves. Yep, this is the last thing I'm going to go over. So I think it's important to create a personal marketing plan. I have one. I update it every quarter. I create it for the whole year, and then I update it every quarter. I check in with myself. I said, what have I done? What have I not done? And a few things that I think need to be on this marketing plan are: what kind of law-related organizations are you going to be in? What is the level of participation you're going to be in? What civic or, you know, outside organizations are you going to be a part of, and the role you're going to play in those? What kind of goals you want to set for individual networking? Like, are you going to go on 2 lunches a month, you know, 1 coffee a month? Whatever works with your schedule, you need to write that down. And then I even go further to say, this is who I'm targeting for the quarter, because I have in my mind, I haven't seen this person in a while. I'm going to call them for coffee, or I'm going to call them for lunch. And it's not just for, you know, hey, give me a referral. It's just to continue that relationship. You know, you find out what you can do for them, just even if it's just talking. I also have another section where it's like other prospects. Who do I want to try and get more contacts in, whether it's doctors or it's you know, whatever. You have that section. Speaking events. What speaking events am I going to try and speak at? Even if I can't speak, can I moderate? Can I participate? Can I help? Can I do anything to get involved? Because those will lead up to the trust built, the experience built, to where you're the one teaching that seminar, you're teaching that webinar, you're giving that information. People are looking to you for that information because they trust you. You build up to that. Notes to lawyers, that's what I was talking about earlier with, you know, a card or an email or a text, just congratulations. I always like personal cards. We have them in our office where I can write it out and then mail it to them. I enjoy getting cards still. It's kind of like people say, oh, mail is, you know, old school, but I love it. I love getting a card, a personal card that's handwritten. It's just, there's something about that. You know, it's more personal than a text. But I don't mind text. I'll text certain people I know that I talk to a little more regular than others. I may just text them, or I may send them an email. But it's always important to show that you're not just focusing on yourself, that you see what they're doing, that you care what they're doing. It's important. So, you know, even if you put, I want to do 5 this month or 5 this quarter, we may do more, we may do less, but at least you have a goal. Also, goals for social media. If you're going to be on social media, say you have an Instagram, well, I'm going to add that to mine. Actually, I have it, but it's not very well thought out. But I'm going to say, you know, I want to do so many posts per month. I want to do so many reach outs to talk to people per month. You know, maybe if they're local, I say, hey, that was a great post you made, or congratulations on your settlement. You know, let's go get coffee or something. Use that as a lead in. Blogs, articles, you know, different things like that. Those are a great way to educate people on your knowledge, your experience. So if you're involved in any of those, if your firm has a blog, write blog posts. If you have a newsletter, write articles in the newsletter. People do read those. and do goals for new cases you want to get in, have production goals, new cases you want to get in, how much fees you want to make, and then anything else that you think is important to you, have that plan and review it regularly. So I also am an avid reader and I love reading books that will better me in my professional capacity as well as my personal. So a couple of books that I've read, and I'm not going to go over them I'm not going to really go over them. I'm just going to show you them. And again, we'll send you the PowerPoint if you're interested. But these are 3 books that I think are amazing. Anything by Seth Godin is great when it comes to marketing. And then, so permission marketing it's basically marketing to people who want to accept your messages. It's how, and I think Instagram is a good example of that. You're marketing people who follow you, who want to see what you're doing. Never Eat Alone and Super Connector are both, even though it says stop networking, I think they're more networking, but they're based on relationship. So those are 2 great books to take a look at. There's a couple more that I put on here, like Building a Story Brand. That one is about communicating clear messages in building, using a story to do that. Blue Ocean Strategy, that may not be really an individual young attorney marketing, but it's about strategy and it's more for firms. But I think some of those things roll over that you can use in your personal, in your professional. It's about competition and basically it's a strategy book, how to have uncontested competition when everybody else is eating each other alive, kind of thing. And then Renegade Lawyer Marketing. So this book, it's good. It's I figure I've got to put a lawyer marketing book on, and I actually have it here. And I got this for free. If you go to their website, I don't even know what the website is anymore. I got this a while ago, but if you look it up, he'll send it to you for free, Benjamin Glass. Or you can buy it on Amazon. It's not much, but I think it's good. It actually has some people I know that contributed to this book, and it's very good. It could be firm, it's firm marketing, but you can use a lot of those tactics for individual marketing as well. I think it's a good book to read. So the last thing I want to say is, so I was looking at different clips and I came across this one from Steve Jobs, and I'm not going to play it because it's like 7 minutes long, but basically what he says is marketing is about value. So this is a complicated, noisy world and people won't remember much about you. So you have to be clear as to what you want them to remember about you. He says, great brands need investment and caring to retain relevance and vitality. And that you don't talk about what you do better than everybody else or why you're better than everybody else. He gives an example of Nike. So Nike, you think of Nike, and now they have other things, but when they first started, it was like shoes. That was their product, shoes. And that Nike never talks about their product. What they do in their advertising is they honor the athlete, they honor the sports. So he goes into saying, Apple's core values are that they believe people with passion can change the world for the better. And I think that is so much of what we do as lawyers too. We have a lot of power as lawyers, and we have a lot of passion as lawyers. So we, as lawyers, with our passion, we use that to change the world for the better, or we at least attempt to. So he also says that, people crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones that actually change the world. So I think the takeaway from that speech he gives is that you have to first you have to figure out what your core values are. So you can do this as a firm, you can do this as an attorney, a young lawyer, a senior, a seasoned lawyer, whatever. You figure out what your core values are, and then you find a way to communicate them. And that's not saying, you know, I can get you $20 million in a case. You know, you create value in yourself. You know, how are you going to treat those clients? How are you going to work their case for them? How are you going to communicate them? You have to find a way to communicate that to your clients. And so they trust you, so they build relationships with you, they give you referrals. You know, there's a lot of great attorneys that, you know, historically we have that we can refer to. So there, you know, there's Abraham Lincoln, there's Mary Jo White, there's Thurgood Marshall. All of those people, they didn't focus on the business of law. They focused on the human aspect. Some of those are civil rights, and actually I think all of them are more involved in civil rights, but they are looked at as, you know, American attorneys that really made a difference in the law, and we have that ability. And I think it kind of leads over into you as an attorney marketing yourself. You don't want to just market, you want to create that passion, create those values, find different ways to do that and get the word out, differentiate yourself, be original and be sincere also. But if you're good at it, and like I said in the beginning, this is a learned skill. You have the ideas, you have the, you know, you have the information, but you need to make it your own, and then you need to implement it. Because just like if you go on a diet, you have to do certain things to yield results. It's the same thing with marketing. You've got to implement these things. You've got to keep on them. You have to be consistent. You will gain referral sources. You will gain clients that will refer to you. You'll gain friends in the industry that will work with you, that will co-counsel with you, that will give you leads, give you clients. That's what it's all about in the end. That's what our business is focused on, is bringing in. We have to bring in the business to keep going. So again, I'll do another one down the road, and it'll be kind of new and innovative marketing techniques that are being used. But I think to get the basics out, I think I covered everything. But if you guys have any questions, hopefully now you know who I am. I'm Jessica Latour of the Romano Law Group. You've got my Instagram, you've got my email, you've got my cell phone number. So if I can help you in any way, please let me know. And I thank you guys all very much for your time. And I hope you have a wonderful evening and a wonderful weekend. Thank you.
Jessica, this has been truly amazing. And I tell you what, I need a copy of this presentation now. I mean, you just shared so many great tips with us today. And I know a lot of people are going to be asking me for a copy as well. So do you prefer like sending it to me and I'll share it with everyone, or do you want them to contact you directly?
No, I'll give it to you. You can send it to everyone.
Fantastic. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in Laura real quick. I'm going to share your contact information in a moment, but Laura with HMR, and she's going to share with you guys the winner of today's copy giveaway. So let me bring her in real fast, and then we will announce that. But thank you guys, everyone, for watching, for supporting us. We have a lot more webinars that are coming up starting next Tuesday. And then also I'm rolling out a whole new month of webinars in March. So we're going to have a great time. And then I hope you'll stay tuned to all the great seminars that we have coming up, and come meet us. Like Jessica said, this is a great opportunity to come market and meet people by coming to one of our seminars. And thank you for adding that photo of John in there, Jessica, because that did make me smile. We won't tell him about the elder parts, but it was such a great presentation. So Laura is here. Laura, if you could do us the honor, let us know who's the winner of today's special coffee giveaway. I know that they're getting 4 bags of freshly roasted coffee, and this has been kind of like the big thing for the last few years. You know, we've done, I think, over 300 different webinars now, and so there's been a lot of winners, but I don't think that the person today is won before. Is that right?
I don't believe so. I think it's the first time. And this is great coffee, by the way. I give it to people as gifts and thank yous, and I hear it's wonderful. Today's winner is Megan Arnold, Esquire, with the Arnold Law Firm in San Diego. So congratulations.
Congratulations, Megan. We're so excited that you won. And thank you so much, Laura, for coming on here to announce the winner. Megan, myself, and Ted and Laura, we will all be reaching out to you after this webinar to make sure that you get your copy. But thanks for watching and supporting. We hope you enjoyed today's webinar. And Laura, thank you for jumping back in to announce this. We really appreciate you and all the great work that you did at HMR. And I hope to see you out on the road soon too.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
All right, and now I'm going to go ahead and share my screen just for a moment. I want you guys to definitely stay in touch with Eric, stay in touch with Jessica. Like I said, she just has so much information on this topic, as well as other things. So stay in touch with her, and then all of our incredible partners at HMR, OnPoint, and Fox-AE. I'm so proud to work with such a good group of people. And again, make sure that you save this and stay tuned. I'll be emailing you in a few moments with all of this information as well. And Jessica, I see all these good comments coming in from everybody. It's just making me smile.
Yes,
Telling you that
thank
you
you,
did such a great.
everyone.
Yeah, I love this feedback. I can't stop smiling. And thank you again, everyone, for watching. Jessica, do you have any last minute things that you'd like to share with everyone before we sign off?
No, I just, like I said, I've got a lot of marketing experience, and I'm full of ideas. I didn't even get to half of them. So if you ever, want to just brainstorm with me, I'd be happy to.
All right. Well, John might have some competition. I might ask him to have you come work on us. Anyway, this has been wonderful. Thanks for being here with us. We hope everyone has a great evening. We'll see you back in Tuesday. Bye, everybody.